President Trump won the primary, right, and then went on to win the general. And one of the reasons they just did not take him seriously.
I don't think that worked.
Now they're waiting. They got all the traps laid. One, about political capital, but two, about the straight and narrow path you have to run. We have to be maniacally focused. That's why our watchword around here at War Room is no days off. We're going to win more of the important ones than we lose, and that's how we make progress, because this is a grind. You're not going to have a magic wand. It's not going to be, drain the swamp, build the wall, lock her up, all that. That's fantastic. Those are great, and they motivate people and grab people. But this is about hard, grinding work. There are things before us, like this, the lame duck, where the administrative state, in combination with the giant corporations, are going to try to make some huge structural changes here that we can't unwind, that you can't unwind, or all your time is assumed is possessed by trying to unwind that. They understand that. These are smart, tough, cunning people that have tremendous power and tremendous resources. And that's what's up against. So there are no days off. There can't be a second. If you're committed to do it, you're committed to do it. And it's just not about the performative part of it, okay? And I think that all people in the Trump movement, all the people that work for President Trump, and President Trump himself, have to understand this is a different game. This is a different game. It's a harder game. It's a tougher game. And so this incident that happened the other day, that's the type of thing, to me, that just takes people's eye off the ball, but also starts to question, like, what is going on here? Where's the work? Like, for instance, this Monday I don't think Schumer and Nancy Pelosi don't want to run the tables, understanding that Nancy Pelosi is not going to have power, and they're probably not going to have power in the House for hopefully a decade. They're not going to try to do some fundamental things like the debt ceiling, like a $2 trillion omnibus bill, like passing a defense authorization that's another $1 trillion, but more importantly, or as bad as that is, having endemically in there all these woke policies that'll take us years to unwind.
What's up, everybody? How you guys doing? Hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. We've got our full panel tonight.
I'm excited.
I think the first time ever. Maybe since, I know we had a big panel on New Year's last year, but it's almost another New Year's show.
First time with me. Yeah. First time with Patty. Yes.
All right. Awesome. So, yeah, for our little cold open clip, that was, of course, the great Steve Bannon talking about a certain thing that happened in Mar-a-Lago recently, and other topics too. We're all spun up right now about the future of the GOP and everything else. And meanwhile, lame duck is happening. Well, it hasn't happened in Lansing. Thank God. We had total break. They haven't had any sessions since the election. I think the Senate has one day next week, and that's it. The House is still on vacation, and that's lovely, because they're not going to pass anything worthwhile with.
Is it a paid vacation? Or?
Yeah, well, they're paid. Of course, it is. They're paid annually. They get, but I'd rather pay them not to be there than pay them to be there. James Hooper on Facebook. By the way, welcome everybody in the chat. We see you guys on Rumble as well. Feel free to participate in the chat. I think we see YouTube comments too. I don't know how long we'll be live on YouTube.
Good old James Hooper. Hi, James.
James who rocks the trench coat better than anyone I've ever seen.
Can we please not talk about our game plan for 2024 on Facebook? Well, hey, James, we don't call the shots. We're hoping to get some people to focus on doing the most effective things between now and 2024. But no, I think
the Dems do it too.
This is an important question. It really is. And the question really is, at what point does information security inhibit your ability to organize? And I think it's at this point, it's time to be reasonable and factual and talk about what things I think we need to be thinking about in the next 2 years. And, we'll see where we end up. But
yeah,
it's not like everything that happens in the next 2 years will be our decision. Sorry, Patty.
We ran into that on HEMA's campaign a little bit, where we were trying to figure out how we want to communicate, what we want to use. And we're trying to, what do we use Google Chat and have a shared calendar? No, we cannot use Google. We can't use Google. We can't use this. We can't use that. Like, it was hard.
Google is witchcraft.
Okay, but at some point you need to be organized and communicate, right?
Yeah, I mean, I use use big tech to the fullest to organize as much as you can, but then try to rope people out of it into the more freer platforms while you're using it,
Like what?
Telegram, Signal, Gab, Truth Social.
But they don't have like a calendar. If
Yeah,
there was
they don't have the full suite.
Yeah, I say use big tech to its fullest to help you, but then try to rope people out of at least on social media, rope people out of it into the more freer platforms.
I guess.
Like a life
Telegram
raft.
is a glorified group chat. I mean, Telegram's nothing.
They have the channels too. The channels. Don't forget those.
Okay. Channel. Yeah, that's like, okay, I'm going to talk and no one else can. Like, that's the channel. Like,
I know that drives me nuts.
turned off comments, everything.
I think that's like a rescue channel, as a matter of fact.
What's that? The Telegram channel?
Yeah, the Telegram channel. I like
yeah, Telegram channel is great. It's like our Twitter channel, which, by the way, shout outs to Twitter. I've seen a lot of old friends coming back onto Twitter these last few
Vanna
weeks.
Hernandez is back today or yesterday.
Nick Ricada came back a week or so ago.
It seems like Elon is at least somewhat fulfilling his promise. I mean, it's really a dangerous game he's playing. You know, they want to remove him from app stores and stuff now, doing all the same things that they did to Gab, to Twitter. But, you know, he said he'll just make his own smartphone if they boot him. So he actually does seem like he has the economic clout and the intelligence to fight back against this, you know, Big Brother, Orwellian Matrix, whatever you want to call it, New World Order, Great Reset. Seems like he's trying to fight back against it, and then doing a pretty decent job thus far. I don't know about his Baphomet costume or his brain microchips, but what he's doing on Twitter is good.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we will see. Apparently, he's already told Alex Jones no, which is shameful, disgraceful. But that might change. Who knows? But more importantly, there's the general amnesty he's talking about coming into effect this week, and a lot of banned accounts getting unbanned. Hopefully, we see Carpe Donktum comes back. Who else? Dr. McCullough, Dr. Malone. Were they both banned? I think on Twitter.
Naomi Wolf.
Who else? There's a few.
I never paid this much attention ever to social media. Maybe I should.
Hopefully that douchebag Alex Berenson gets rebanned.
Yeah. Well, that's a long story for people who don't know about Alex Berenson. Some people like him, but he's a
douchebag.
Controlled opposition, yeah. But we'll go down there. Let's not go down that rabbit hole tonight. On Rumble, Jojo Pixie Poo says, "Happy Sunday Night Rumble." Welcome everybody.
Jojo Pixie Poo.
I love reading people's names. Charlotte Cosmic says, Livingston here, getting ready for convention meeting November 30th. Robert's Rules, lol. Yeah, our convention is your actual convention on the 30th? Ours is on Thursday.
Ours is on the 30th too. Ours is on Wednesday.
Oh, Kevin Decker says Steve Bannon hopefully comes back to Twitter. Yeah, I mean,
he was never on Twitter.
He was never on Twitter.
But was War Room? War Room.
Yeah, Jack Maxey had an account and he ran it under the name of War Room, but Steve was never on it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if
Twitter
really follows through with this, if Elon Musk follows through with this, it could be a great thing. The other thing they're talking about is he's talking about exposing all the internal censorship documents that Twitter was keeping from the public.
Yeah, he said he found that closet of all the merch where it says about stay woke. He found all those t-shirts.
I don't doubt it for a second.
If you see this, like, anyway, one of his tweets is basically implying if you see what they've done, it's terrible.
Yeah, and it gets worse than just that. I know that I did some reporting on several years back when Twitter actually changed their terms of service to explicitly allow pedophiles the ability to discuss the finer points of raping children on the platform. So they explicitly amended it at the behest of like the virtuous pedophiles movement or whatever and allied pro-pedo academics who are lobbied them to put pro-pedophilia language in their terms of service, and they eventually revoked that after heavy criticism. But they still allowed a bunch of different hashtags and communities of pedophiles to network and kind of discuss, the best ways to, lure your prey in and all this. And child porn was running rampant on the on Twitter as well, fueling the global child porn industry, which is, quadrupled or more just in the past several years. So social media, mainly, these massive platforms where one video is like a drop in the bucket and there's no no moderators or no standards, and they ignore when people complain or report that there's bad content on there. Mixed with social media has just caused this to explode. But Elon Musk has apparently turned off several of the worst hashtags that were used by pedophiles to, network and share tips on how to do their awful things. So he came in and shut that off day one. And before, it was not being shut off because the Twitter moderators were more concerned with stopping conservative free speech than they were stopping the preying on children.
Wow.
Yeah, that's going to have to be an ongoing operation because Twitter was one of, if not the largest traffickers of child pornography in the world. I think our kid did a whole episode talking about this. There was a kid in high school who got catfished by someone posing as a girl who blackmailed him, and then he didn't pay the fee or whatever, so they released it to his whole school, and they sued Twitter, and Twitter claimed Section 230 immunity. They pointed out this was a child who had been exploited sexually by someone on Twitter, and Twitter just did nothing about it. They even said it didn't violate their policies. I mean, they absolutely condone child pornography on Twitter.
Yeah, and he found it and was able to turn it off pretty quick. So it's obviously intentional that they.
Yep, 100%. NBC News came out with a article bemoaning how sex workers they're getting cut off on Twitter, and all these great communities where women learn that how great it is to be sex workers is cut off at the heels, and it's so bad. And here's an ACLU lawyer crying about it. That was in NBC News last week. So
that's crazy.
That's crazy.
Pretty wild stuff.
Yeah,
but it shows Elon's doing the right thing, or trying to.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Real quick, we got a comment on YouTube. Stephen Richard says Canada basically banned all guns. How far will Witless get with that idea? That's a good question, Stephen. And this is actually a great topic point, because in theory, they can do anything. They could give us Massachusetts gun laws if they wanted to. But there is a check on that, which is angry voters. And I think people underestimate, and this is a real problem that these movements have, our movement has. People don't understand the value of contacting your lawmakers and signing petitions, letting people know how many votes are in play over these things. And this is how gun rights groups and many other types of groups have been able to be effective. That's how the Democrats are able to govern from a minority, is they mobilize tons and tons of voters to contact lawmakers and get them scared to do these things. Because the reality is, a lot of them barely won their races. They're going to be very close, and they can't afford to alienate huge sections of their voters.
Yeah.
But it comes down to people actually sending in those letters, signing the petitions, and also, of course, engaging their neighbors and talking to people about, exposing Democrats' records. I mean, when I worked in Riley's office, John Riley's office, we were in a safe Republican seat. Every single public meeting he had with his constituents, you had radical left-wingers there attacking him for his voting record, attacking him for this and this and this and this and this. And they're out and doing that stuff. If they see people in the districts doing these things, they're going to be scared to death about passing any gun control legislation, especially the radical things. If they don't, they will do those. They will pass them. And this is going to be a huge project for us and for every group every activist group in the state, really, whether your issue is gun rights or illegal immigration or anything else. It's how many voters are you going to make angry over the things the Democrats are going to try to do for the next 2 years?
Mostly,
I don't think anything's going to stop them. I don't think they care.
Well, it's going to be right
They
to
do.
work, and it's going to be prevailing wage, and we have to flip it. Just get that messaging out there.
Well, we'll have to flip it in 2 years, but
Well, no, I meant
Patty,
flip it so it starts now.
as someone who's trained by someone who worked at the second largest gun rights organization in the country and started the third, this is how they've operated in all 50 states and how they've stopped gun control in places like Colorado and many other states. And I'll tell you, I've worked for these politicians. They care about constituent input. And one of the biggest lies they tell people is, we don't read these form letters. We don't read these form letters because they don't want people sending them. They don't want people organizing.
Mm-hmm.
But they do care, because elections do have consequences, and they're going to be exactly where the Republicans are, afraid they're going to lose their majority in 2 years in the House.
Yeah, and there might be, some districts that are far left, maybe in Detroit and Ann Arbor, elsewhere, where, they are completely immune to constituent pressure and they'll get reelected no matter what if they're on the ballot. There are areas, where that are more rural, that are more conservative leaning. Think, Kent County, maybe even some parts of like Macomb, Oakland County. These areas that, have areas that have like Livingston County in them, just areas that trend more conservatively, where if a Democrat who needs to win re-election, if there's a gun control measure that's up and they receive fierce constituent pressure, it could scare them off of that. And with a narrow majority, that could kill gun control bills in the next couple of years. So we have a chance to stop some of the crazier stuff that they're doing, but we have to be smart and we have to pick these the people who are kind of in the middle, the Democrats who have to appear more moderate, have more conservative constituents who want to get reelected. Those need to be the ones we apply the most pressure on so that we can, drive a stake through the heart of gun control and some of these other crazier things that they're going to be trying to do in the next couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to target those seats and just kind of have campaigns at those seats. Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, on Rumble, Dennis Marburger says, "Good evening, friends. Great to hear from you, Dennis." Dennis
Hey,
is one of my
Dennis.
day oneers, I think, going back to like 2007 or something. All right. Should we get into some of the topics tonight? We did a little bit with the cold open. Should we talk about the incident at Mar-a-Lago and what people want to make of that, where Trump apparently welcomed in Kanye West and Nick Fuentes?
Same old Trump.
Yeah. I mean, I'll give him at least this much. I don't think he had any idea who Nick Fuentes was. If it had been any old schmuck off the street, I don't think it would have been it wouldn't have happened that way. But it's common for celebrities like Kanye to show up with entourages, and they probably thought, oh, he's part of the entourage or whatever. They had no idea who Nick Fuentes was. Which, for those of you who don't know, Nick Fuentes is like a wannabe David Duke. And that's
Kanye's on Twitter bashing Ben Shapiro today.
Oh boy.
Yeah, he's like,
Yeah.
my opponent, going on and on. Calling Trump his opponent or something. I was like laughing.
Yeah. Ben Shapiro's a never Trumper. What does that even have to do with anything?
I know.
But our country's falling apart and these guys are having a little pissing contest. It's pathetic. Which, that reminds me, before we do anything else, I want to promote this event again. I know I did this in our email today and I did this on our show last week, but I'm going to say it again. You guys all need to come out to this event or one of these events with Scott Ritter in Ann Arbor this week. I mean, compared to all of the bullshit we have to deal with every single day in politics, I think the other way was better. This is a guy whose tolerance for bullshit is absolutely zero. Marine Corps intelligence officer, the first weapons inspector. Like, before we had such a thing as weapons inspectors, this guy was helping disarm nuclear Soviet Union Russia, working with the United States on nuclear disarmament. He has 3 events coming up in Ann Arbor. You can see any of his shows on YouTube. He's got multiple channels. I think there's one called U.S. Tour of Duty that he does a show twice a week on, just debunking a lot of myths about Ukraine and everything else going on. He's doing 3 events, all of them are in Ann Arbor. They're all free. They're all book signings. They're all lectures. This one I can't attend because I've got my county convention that night, but he's had the courtesy to do 3 of them. So there's another one on Friday night, and then there's also one at noon on Saturday. I'll actually be live streaming. I think the one on the 2nd, maybe even the 2nd and the 3rd. So that will be probably on this channel, unless they have some special account they want me to stream it through. And I can't wait. I can't wait to meet the guy, to get him to autograph my copy of his newest book. I'll probably buy all the other books he has available. He's written 9 of them. This one's about disarming nuclear USSR. And so all of you guys should come out to these events, as many as you can. If he was doing this in the UP, I would be driving up there to go see these. So RSVP, just go to Ann Arbor Coalition Against War.org, which I was a member of before I was involved in anything else in politics. Like, this goes back 2002 for me. So go there and hit the RSVP buttons. They're also in the email blast we sent out today. And check that out, because it's going to be amazing. So yeah, that's my plug for the week. I don't know, which is, I guess, a good time for your guys' events. You've got, Amber, you always have stuff to plug, but maybe just after the election, maybe you got an actual break for change. But does anybody have any events they want to talk about coming up?
I'm going to the Washtenaw County Convention as a guest.
Oh, that'll be fun. We get to see the fireworks.
No, that's awesome. That's really, really good.
Well, there are neighbors, and we're part of the 6th, right? So I'm like, since we don't have a convention, there's a group of us.
Our
that
last
we-
county convention, I ended
we're
up
gonna
chairing,
go.
so we'll see if that happens again.
So have you decided if you wanted to run? Are you running for Washington now?
I'm running for the executive committee. I'm not running for chair
Why?
because I don't want to be chair.
Why?
Because it's a ton of work for no money and everybody hates you. And what I think I might do is what I might do, and I haven't made up my mind, is offer to have a informal title of executive director if they'll give it to me, and do all I can to help get things put right organizationally. Because that's the mechanics of the county party. That's one thing that I do like to do. What I don't like to do, because the county chair's job is going out and raising money and making phone calls and organizing events. That's not my cup of tea. I'm not doing that.
Exciting. I think
So we'll
that's
see.
great. Yeah.
So we'll see.
No, Oakland County Convention is on the 30th, and then on December 8th is the executive meeting and our Christmas party. And I've kind of scaled back. I'm scaling back, and I'm really focusing on the next administration and fundraising plans and different ways that we can raise money and really get it in the hands of our candidates that need it to flip the county. So I'm really, really going balls to the wall and meeting with the people that need to be met with, that have felt disenfranchised throughout the years, and really hoping to have a strong county, because Oakland needs it. If Oakland can really be a shining light in the state, I'm trying to get Oakland on an island almost, where the state party can't necessarily F it up no matter what happens to state party. So that's my goal.
That sounds
I'm a little
familiar.
concerned about that myself, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I mean, keep in mind, frankly, the state party, never mind the last 2 years, for as far as I've ever worked in politics, the state party is a welfare office for lazy consultants, and that's just the way it is.
That's exactly. I mean, I haven't been on any of the streams where we talked about the election, but man, oh man, between consultants taking all the money from these candidates not knowing what to do just out of sheer not Googling stuff. I mean, gosh, it's been crazy.
Yeah.
But we're pausing events. I don't think there's any super Christmas parties. There's a mock convention tomorrow in Troy for those that might want to come to it in Oakland County. It's being put on by MCC. MCC is having a Christmas party that I'll probably go to. Nork's having a Christmas party that I'll probably go to. GoGop's having a Christmas party I will probably go to.
This is scaling back. This is you scaling back.
Yeah.
This is me scaling back going, but I'm not throwing the stuff. I'm going to the stuff that's being thrown in the county. Normally,
a lot of Christmas parties. Do we really need that many Christmas parties?
I'm not throwing a Christmas party.
It's going to be like everyone's going to be all down and crying and, drowning their sorrows, I guess, for Christmas.
I mean, this is that time after the election when people, have to take a rest. Although I will say, for those of you that do want to stay in the fight, because I did mention the state legislature hopefully is not doing too much damage in the lame duck, but Congress will be. So if you want more information about that, go to campaignforliberty.org. I actually write their emails, most of them, and get.
I thought Ron Paul wrote those emails.
Well, Ron Paul writes his weekly columns, and Ron Paul writes elsewhere. But typically, the process is I draft the emails, and then there's an editorial process, and things get deployed, and sometimes things get signed off on. But at any rate, yeah, there is a lot of crazy stuff happening in Washington. Bannon was just alluding to that in his in that clip. The central bank digital currency. There's a scheme to ram that into the National Defense Authorization Act. There's trillions of dollars in spending, billions of dollars for Ukraine. Joe Biden's talking about gun control, trying to pass something like that now. And yes, it really does matter that people contact their congressman and tell them to hold the line, because we don't have to lose too many votes in the Senate for that to go south.
Right,
I'll give
Debbie a call.
I was gonna say, okay, no, seriously, I was just about to say that. Can you talk on those people that have Democrats that represent them? We still have to message them. Have to message them. I know it sounds weird, and I tell this to people all the time. I mean, we have good people to message, like Runstead in my area, but if you have a Democrat, you still have to message them, still send the emails.
Yeah, because even if they think that they're in a safe seat, they're all paranoid about their caucus losing majority, and the Republicans got a tough lesson in that just now. But it'll be back in play in the House in 2 years and in the Senate in 4. And the continued building of local organizations that make voters angry at the votes they take leads them to be reined in. I mean, that's the way it works in all 50 states. You know, this organization, again, I worked for them for 3 years in 2009 to 2011, where we were also editing and deploying emails to a bunch of different state leaders. Now someone else does that task, but we saw gun rights battles. We saw battles on gold-backed money for legal tender in some states that shouldn't be taxed. We saw transparency fights in some states. And the way politicians operate is the same everywhere on every issue. They do respond to angry voters, and they get crazy when they feel like they're safe. And the Democrats get this, folks. If you want to see how to be ineffective, look at the Republicans. You want to see how to be effective, look at the Democrats. I tell you, they're petitioning, they're calling, they're sending letters, they're dropping op-eds, they're going out and knocking on doors. They're doing these things. This is the way politics does work in this country. And when people tell you, it's, ooh, we got to ban somebody.
Free girls in U City. Nice.
That wasn't what I meant to do. I mean, you have to ask yourself,
Rescue's newest
how
sponsor.
does it benefit the politicians if you believe that they don't respond to your letters? Oh, well, then who cares?
Colazar doesn't reply to my tweets.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, what were we talking about again?
He's a coward.
Oh, yeah.
Mobilizing.
Yeah, mobilizing. Well, I want to talk about it. One of the things I want to talk about, and we should probably, because we, you know, it's in the title of our stream too, is misinformation. Has anyone seen yet this new documentary that came out about vaccine deaths?
Well, before we get
I've been
into
wanting
that,
to see it.
I
Go ahead,
listened
Amber.
to it. Somebody else was watching it while I was in the background. I was sort of listening to it.
Yeah.
So how do we battle people that are saying that, no, Christina really won the election and so really won the election? How do we battle that and saying that it's just another way for us to be lazy, I think, and say that, hey, we really did win this election, so we don't have to work. Or what's the point of working? So how are we battling that? Or how would you suggest to battle that? Because I'm faced with that right now.
It depends. And to some degree, for some people, it's just not possible. Because for some people, what they really are looking for is an excuse not to do anything. And to say, oh, I guess my vote counts for nothing, so I guess I don't need to do anything ever again. You know, I mean, we did our post-election episode where we talked about these things, and we said, look at the financial reports. Christina's campaign didn't have any money.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I'll tell you, someone that works on campaigns, I got her emails every day. Matt DePerno's emails were like, give me money, give me money, give me money, give me money, give me money. Christina's were like, episode 7 of how the 2020 election was stolen. I mean, this was just not effective messaging. And sorry, but that goes for things, you know, that matters. I mean, you can ask them, well, what was the results in your precinct? Did you knock on doors? Did you talk to voters?
And another thing.
Tony says, I saw it, pretty scary and infuriating how much we were lied to. Yeah, I mean, look, if you want to say that the votes were stolen in Detroit, of course they were. But you want, by the way, let's take this time to say goodbye to YouTube now. Hey, Tony, and anybody else watching on YouTube, we are going to switch to our Rumble and Facebook only mode tonight. So find us at facebook.com/Rescue Michigan Coalition. It's not case sensitive.
I think Tony was probably talking about the movie.
Yeah, he's talking about Died Suddenly.
Yeah.
Oh, the movie. Okay, yeah, we'll get to the movie in a minute. I thought we might
let me jump in.
Hold on, let me hang on YouTube first. Goodbye, YouTube. See us on Rumble and Facebook.